Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me for my takeaways from the SAP TechEd conference, which happened this week in Las Vegas. It was the usual busy event held traditionally at the Venetian Palazzo Hotel, the Sands Convention Center. I would say I didn't get an official tally. Check my blog post of last year, it was slightly over 5,000. Felt about the same amount of attendees, which is a good sign to be kept, but in this world of growing tech conferences, same place 2 weeks before was AWS reInvent, which went from I heard 11,000 to 19,000, or down the road was HR Tech Conference, which went from 25 to 30,000, or let me work on this window a little bit, or down the road was Tableau, which went from 5,000 to 10,000 without Tableau employees, puts everything a little bit in perspective. But let's talk about what the key takeaways there. There's traditionally a first day evening keynote with George Lucas, which is powered and fueled not only by good content, but also by alcoholic beverage, which always is a good thing with developers. It was a usual fun entertaining piece by Lucas, maybe a little bit too long, with the highlights being a next generation UI user interface presentation being No UI, which was set up together with same place 2 weeks before, Amazon reInvent with AWS Alexa, electronic assistant, who basically through voice allowed to get information out of Cloud for Customer. Interesting demo. I think we didn't see or forgot how that was built, which would be interesting for that audience, of course, too. The main thing from Steve Lucas' keynote was about SPS 11, which is coming out, and it's all about cost of ownership, running that instance of HANA in a more efficient way, in a more scalable way, in a more cost of ownership aware way, which is always good for customers and overall adoption. And then he shared some interesting numbers on the HANA Cloud Platform side, which is has now over 1,800 customers, 1,853 to be exact, 256 partners using it, and over 90K users. I think the user number is the most interesting one, given the overall ABAP ecosystem around 3 or so million developers. It shows there's a lot of potential left for the HANA Cloud Platform, and it's important for SAP customers and developers and people who make the money in the SAP ecosystem to really understand what's happening with the platform. Next day it was Bernd Leuker's turn. He did a good job walking through the usual things. I mean, the big thing happening, I'm going to delve into this, is the One for You, or the One Forever Who charity around the refugee problem in Europe. So it's all a good thing, but look about that. He started, which was great, with the HANA Cloud Platform, and there we saw a demo of the service catalog with translation services being roped in, and with the tax services being roped in. Unfortunately, again, no code. This is a developer audience. Would be good to see the code. Ian Kimball, the famous Ian Kimball, did this usual good and funny job on that. But maybe Ian also, and I'm hate to be repetitive on this, is more a person for Sapphires than for TechEds, but that's a different story. Bernd Leukert spoke also about the vehicle network, which is an interesting aspect of what SAP is trying to do in the IoT arena. There, of course, Vora is really interesting, which Bernd concluded, which makes SAP for the first time really viable in large-scale data sizes, which include Hadoop, which SAP didn't have a story that was pre-announced or kind of like announced at Sapphire this year. Read my blog on that. There was a launch event in September. Read my blog on that. And it was good to see that it was coming up here, but it would have been great to see how I programmatically, and the whole thing is already available in controlled release ramp-up mode, as he calls it, since October, since a few days in October. So it's a good thing, would have been a good thing to see how I use a Vora-based piece, but maybe still too early. And then the biggest impact, I think, in the short term for the audience was the build service, a way how I can take a painted UI over into getting feedback, even from a pure screenshot or a dashboard or a wireframe, anything visual which was painted, and can get it back to users and get feedback on that with interesting heat maps, but also can even put code elements into it and generate a UI prototype. Not the full code, unfortunately, yet. It's not so automatical overall, but I can create a fully functional prototype, which is very powerful. And it's ironical because Fiori is a key advantage in the UI for SAP customers to go to, given the visibility challenges exist with some of the SAP screens. Then customers were all happy that they had to pay for it. Then SAP makes it free, and now we still suffer on the adoption side. Overall, on the SAP ecosystem, way too many SAP customers work with screens they shouldn't be working with, frankly. And I hope personally that for SAP customers and for the overall cause of user interface, the build tool is going to help designers to automate more and create better user experience for SAP customers. Then the big announcement, we come to the takeaway in 7, was Cloud for Analytics. Basically, SAP has said, now we're going to move things, branding things together, which are sometimes partially whatever in the cloud already. The banner product being 2 of them. It's the former Cloud for Planning product, which was launched in January or February this year. Hometown and branch for me was launched in San Diego. See my blog on that too. Interesting aspect of using that and extending that. And the story is that Cloud for Planning was also used to build what SAP is most proudly of right now, which is the digital boardroom, which was featured in the keynotes in general. I have some reviews on that. And SAP said that the first time they ran their board meeting completely electronically, completely digitally, with the help of that tool. And short plausibility analysis looks like what they showed, the schema of the data looks like interesting and possible that it's been done. What I would advise SAP to do, to really believe that, is audit the next board meeting by an auditor saying, yes, nothing else, no paper. So let's come to the takeaways. Tough to pick the top 3, but really my view is the people who come to TechEd are either by their own independent consultants, contractors, entrepreneurs, who have maybe small teams and so on. That's half of the audience. And the other half are the tech cracks in the enterprise, right? The really ones who know deep down historically basis, NetViva and so on, how to do things there. And both of them SAP would like to make look like heroes. And really the most tangible thing for them, and I'm doubtful that's going to carry them very far, was the Fiori build tool. But I don't think you will be able to convert all the attendees of a TechEd, or most of them, or even to pick it up to become a UI designer. They just leave it to other people. But the build tool is clearly the most direct impact, ready usable piece, which was shown at Sapphire. Then it was good to see HANA Cloud Platform Services being live and the Vora capabilities being there, but not so many services available yet. So I think it's more a trial balloon for customers in the next 6 to 12 months. SAP would have to show a roadmap, what is coming when, so I can align my project schedule around this. And the Vora are very important, but at least in the general sessions, SAP missed the opportunity to show how the code of that is being built and what a use case, great live example of that be. Maybe a little bit too early. Then, of course, from SAP's perspective, the big thing was Cloud for Analytics, bringing together all the different business objects, GRC, all the planning tools around balance scorecard and so on, all of that together in a cloud-based product. There is a roadmap, what's going to come when. I don't know if it's probably consumption, so that's good news in general to have it, so customers can ask for that. A good thing for SAP to bring all these things together, good to make a step into pouch. Some of the things I care for about, which I think are important from automation perspective, like predictive analytics, I was a little light on that perspective, so coming. Historically, SAP has a kind of a little rocky relationship with that. I think it's going to be important for them to move that. And then on tidbit side, right, it's interesting, the biggest news for me actually was from SAP perspective, not part of the keynote, but outside of the keynote. Let me share a screen of that in my photos part, and despite the disclaimer, I have the okay to be able to show that. And that's on the S4HANA side, where I had a meeting with Marco Schwarz and Sven Deniken, and which really clarified the SAP digital core mission, which is the central blue part. You can jokingly call it as the teeth, and you can kind of like dentist perspective from this, right? But the left side, the top left too, if you want to call it, is S4HANA is well known and understood, right? We also understand the success factors part of you can only consume it in the cloud and other pieces, but things like time capturing and the employee central connectivity are coming to that core piece of S4HANA. And I'm not going to walk through all the rest of the teeth, but that's a much, much more significant footprint which SAP has been able to develop with an official start of S4HANA only in January for this 15.11 update, which is shipping in November and will be available on premise first, and then a few weeks later as the on-demand cloud version of that. But that's really the hard part. Generally, to rebuild a product is a multi-year effort. I mean, the industry knows how some of SAP's competitors, how long they've taken that. This is going really, really fast, so fast that I need to figure out where the tricks are behind the curtain or something like this. But really, really interesting to see. Really, actually, the biggest news, but really not developer music anyway. More like a Sapphire use in general. So other takeaways on the side from were good progress on the HANA Cloud Platform. Met with Prakash and Dalal and their team. Actually, I'm catching myself. I'm doing the same thing like Bernd Leukert in the keynote, mentioning people, but at least I mentioned them and I'll point them out in the audience. So good progress on the HANA Cloud Platform. I wish the HANA Cloud Platform would have been even more central there. I found it great last year when we talked about paths, so that was absent as an acronym or as a buzzword. But HANA Cloud Platform is really what is the linchpin on the overall part. It's going to be interesting for SAP and SAP, important for SAP to also position that as the tool for build not only standalone, but build the extensions to what customers might not see and might not find right away in S/4HANA. Interesting that SAP is also operationalizing, pun intended now, some of the things around the analytics platform. So an interesting segue, which SAP is not known, is the ITOA, the IT Operational Analytics product, something which SAP in co-innovation built internally, which was an interesting part to see. I had an interesting meeting also with SAP CIO. Drawing a blank on the name there, shame on me. Yeah, sorry, drawing a name. This is live. Should have put their name down. Helen Arnold. Here we go. Take a moment. Sorry, Helen, if you're watching this or anybody. But Helen Arnold, very interesting insights on how she's running and how SAP on the new products, but also where she's building strategic new things. She shared with me she built a new ticketing system being crowdsourced. So all powerful examples for the HANA Cloud Platform, but also that SAP is doing some interesting co-innovation both with partners, but also learning internally. And last but not least, met with Gaura from Jonathan Becher's new venture, selling SAP products more in a digital way of fashion, making good progress there, taking also selected products to market. I mean, the really big news is last year we talked about a marketplace where developers can build things and then resell things to SAP customers. There's tremendous potential for SAP, but that hasn't happened or wasn't mentioned even this year much. Doesn't mean that's done, but should be more of a topic. But it's also clear that it's not that easy for to call Palmisamo IBM, right? Teaching elephants to dance. We're taking somebody who's very successful large enterprise scale to build a nimble digital product, despite all the product progress that team has been doing. And that comes to my point of view. I think it was a good overall Sapphire. I make the same mistake. It was a good TechEd or SAP TD for SAP. But I think SAP needs to learn that no matter where they are with products, and I understand well enough, have worked long enough at software vendors, that you have to build something, you talk about it when it's the next event, but really to understand the difference in the audience. TechEd is really the audience which wants to know how. And in the past, and to a certain point, SAP is a victim of its own success. In the past, product development cycles would be so slow or so long that you could talk about the what at Sapphire and the how you can get it done in TechEd, and they're half a year apart, evenly spaced away from each other. But now product cycles are so fast that you have to have the conversation about the what and the how at the same time. And audiences have not adopted to that yet. And it may be also interesting and good for SAP to keep these audiences separate. But overall, I think attendees were excited, which is always good to see as an ecosystem touch. Partners got their worth at the conference from attendance perspective. So overall, a very good TechEd for SAP. I wish it'd be a little more techy going forward. Well, that concludes my takeaways from Sapphire. May I say it again? From TechEd 2015, it's been a very long week. It's TechEd, or TechEd and Decode SAP PD, which happened this week. Good event for the vendor, energized attendees. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, and have a good weekend.